Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. She is helping people all over the world and has for many, many, many years feel better, have more confidence, and it's probably something that you wouldn't right away think, and that is speaking clearer and possibly without a stutter. She is with the Speech Academy Etalon International. Anna Deeter joins us again. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Hi, I am doing great.
So good to have you back with us. And I'm thinking about you last night because I had dinner with a friend and she's got a very New York accent. So, and every time she would say a word and drop the R in there, like, for example, yeah, I got to pick up the car and, I got to go. Every word, every time she would say it, I would laugh. I was like, this doesn't get old. I'm from New York, grew up here. And then we joked like, why don't you, meaning me, have an accent? And I don't know. Is that something you can help people with when they have a, let's say a New York accent? Can you work with them at that capacity as well?
Of course I can, but you got to understand my job as a teacher just to explain that you are supposed to sound exactly in the way how people around you sound.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And of course, I will explain how the tongue works, but I cannot get inside of their ears and listen to the way people speak and imitate the same sounds. This is simply impossible. This is why even I've been living in the United States for over 20 years, but I still speak with an accent. I know people recognize it. Where are you from? They always ask. Somewhere from Europe? Yeah, I'm from Russia. But people understand me. And this is what matters. You can speak with any accent as long as people understand you.
Okay. And when we say that, that also, I would assume, means speak fluidly and clearly in whatever accent you have. And by the way, I'm totally fine with my friend's New York accent. I think it's hysterical. Every time she says a word, I laugh. But I was wondering if somebody came to you and said that they wanted to drop the accent, is that something that you could help them out with?
Of course I can, but once again, I will explain to people what just explained to you. This is how your tongue works. This is how a body-mind computer is built. You gotta listen and repeat like a parrot. And yes, it's a skill. It requires some time to learn. If you're willing to do it, just do it.
Gotcha. Okay. So how does somebody determine that they need your help? Is it they feel that when they speak, it's not clear? Obviously, if they have a true stutter where they're pausing like that, and just a loose example, but how would somebody know that, yeah, I really got to talk with Anna and maybe go for some direction to speak clearer?
It's very simple. The moment a person is struggling to make a presentation, to have a phone call with a client, to kind of sell something on the phone, the moment a person is feeling that something is blocking me, something is not allowing me to speak freely, then it's a sign. You have a mental block which causes you to have a physical block. Basically, when we believe that we need to do something that is simply blocking, restricting our tongue to move freely, it's got to be addressed. This is the problem. But if a person speaks, I'll tell you a short story. I remember I had a student who was brought by the public speaker, his friend. And I invited that person, a public speaker, to be during the class and to see what I'm doing. And after the class, he was, of course, amazed. Wow, what you do, la, la, la. But after the class, he sent me some of his videos of his public speeches. He was very funny. He was doing great. but he was making a lot, I mean, a lot of speech mistakes. And I pointed to that. I said, listen, you are, of course, very good at presenting your messages. People laugh in the audience, but you're making a lot of mistakes. You're repeating words. You are stumbling in the middle, I mean, in the beginning of the word. Those are all mistakes. You're using filler words. And he says, I don't care. Okay. I said, okay, you don't care? It's fine with me. But in about 2 months, he came back to me and he said, Anna, you're so right. I just had to do a presentation where I had to say only words, nothing else, no useless vocalizations, no filler words, no repetitions. It was so hard for me.
Wow.
I struggled.
Now you talk about presentations. A lot of us are doing, like we are right now, doing Zoom videos. Let's say you have an important presentation or a phone call. Would you suggest, regardless of somebody's speech, let's say they speak fluent and they're okay, having notes in front of you, bullet points, would you suggest that?
I actually recommend you do what, depending on what you want to do. Bullet points are great, of course, but it's interesting. I never take bullet points because I'm working like people ask questions and I answer. But if it is a presentation, the best way to do the presentation is just like prepare to this presentation like all actors. Prepare for playing their roles. Memorize the words you're gonna say. Train your tongue to say those words. If you know you are shy, if you know, excuse me, if you know sometimes you may kind of get blocked and you forget what you want to say, it happens. So then do rehearsal, just like an actor before playing the role. What do? They sit down and they learn their scripts, each word. And then when they are on the stage, they present those words with no problem. Because in order for us to say each and every word accurately today, it must have been memorized yesterday. At least one time, we have to have this experience. And then that's it. It will never change.
It's a really good point, because it's been proven that we operate by memory. So if you're in a certain situation, and it could be a stressful situation, how are you going to react to it? It's from something from your past.
Exactly. And also you said by memory, and in speech is just pure muscle memory. Muscle memory. If you have already trained your tongue to say the word accurately with ease and confidence, it will never change, even if you are stressed. People always ask me, even before I started these shows with you, someone asked me, if you are nervous, I'm never nervous when I'm speaking. Never. Because I know the words I will say with my tongue. Only if I am going to attempt to say the word that I'm not sure how to say, I may be kind of nervous, but then guess what I'm going to do? Right. I'm going to ask you, Stephen, how do you say this?
Or that. Sure. Yeah. There's nothing ever wrong with asking a question. It actually shows intelligence. I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to find out. I'm going to get back to you. If you need to say that, it's okay to say that. How about tips? Any tips you have for not just doing presentations, but just somebody wanting to feel more comfortable in speaking? Any thoughts?
Of course, I can give you a perfect tip. There is an amazing application on our phones. It's called Google Translate. If you're not sure how to move your tongue to say the word, go to this app Enter the word and listen and become a parrot. Listen to the word, learn how to move your tongue when you're saying the word. But this will work for people who don't have the belief that they are incurably sick, that they have a sickness, stuttering sickness, that it's neurological, that it's incurable, that it requires therapy, pathology, psychology, neurology, and stuff. If they believe so, it will not work for them because they still believe, okay, I said the word now, but when I'm in front of Mr. Smith, I can't say the word. It's very,
is everything.
this is why it's very important that people, if they are not 5-year-old kids, it's important they come to a mentor who clearly understands what naturally normal, adequate speaking is. By ringtones, I mentioned this magical word, ringtones, because this is the only way our tongue understands. Our tongue works by creating ringtone after ringtone, ringtone after ringtone, not in any other way.
Any other tips too? Like I share with anybody that says, I'm nervous, I got to do a presentation, I'm not comfortable. And my first thought is speak slowly. So many, especially in the Northeast, we talk really fast. We try to get it out of our mind. Blah, blah, blah. Tap the brakes a little bit and it'll come out clearer and you'll make less mouth mistakes, if you will. Thoughts on that?
Let me ask you a question. Do you speak Russian language?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so can you make a presentation right now? Just speak slowly.
Make a presentation in Russian
language, but speak slowly. It's going to help you a lot, is it?
Well, it's not going to help you.
This is what I want the whole world to understand. Speaking is a learned movements, coordinated movements of the speech instrument. I mean, use of the speech instrument. You gotta learn words before you can make these movements anywhere, especially during presentations when the situation is like everyone wants you to be perfect. No one wants to sit and listen to your and repetition. It's no one wants to sit and listen. People, as a matter of fact, during presentation, if you're going to begin mumbling, stumbling, people will grab their phones and begin checking messages. People will lose interest. You gotta speak with powerful words. The power is in our words, not in useless as, you know, to be honest, all kinds of weird words. I call them empty words, word fillers.
I call them crutches. Crutches. You lean on them.
Yeah. Amazing. You're using my language. Yes, it is.
And I don't speak Russian. Funny.
And by the way, I'm just gonna finish when you said speak slowly. How slow do you need to speak? Do you understand what it means? How slow? Because people say, speak slow. Okay, you're gonna begin to speak slow, but you still don't know how to say the word with the movements of your tongue. It's not gonna work. Or to, think someone is calling me. What do I do?
I'm not really sure.
Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Okay. In an hour. Okay. Remind me in an hour. That's what I did. Okay. I'm still with you.
We're here. And I wanted to share with you, I have a podcast coming up with
what you just did. Why did you do it? And you moved your eyes. You were searching for the word, but instead of
I was looking at you, concerned that your phone was not working. But my point is, I have a podcast with a Russian doctor, and the mental block I have is making sure I say his last name correctly. So that's what I'm focusing and fixating on, to make sure I say it correctly. And I think a lot of people do that, that you think about that and it marinates in your brain and you want to make sure that you get it right. And usually you get it wrong because you're worrying too much about it. That's how I feel.
Not just because of that, because you worry too much, because you don't know. It's very simple. When we don't know, of course, we're going to make a mistake. So normally, what do? You ask a person, could you please teach me to say your name?
Sure.
That's it. And he's going to be happy to give you his name because after all, his name is what he has. It's his belonging, right? So he's going to be so proud that one American finally can say his name correctly. And also, if you want, I can teach you to say his name by ringtones. Because when the tongue works by ringtones, the tongue can produce any word in any language because this is natural.
Give us, Anna, an example of that. Pick any word and how you would slice that word up or approach it in terms of speaking.
You know, it's funny. I had a live stream yesterday on YouTube, and one of the people from the audience asked me, Anna, can you give an example of a ringtone where the tongue in one movement makes 6 sounds?
6?
Yes. I don't know about this kind of words in English language, but I know one word in Armenian language. Armenian.
Okay.
When the name of a person is Mukrtychan. Mukrtycha. This is one movement of the tongue. Mukrtycha. Can you hear how many sounds are there?
Mukrtycha?
Mukrtycha. Mm-hmm.
That sounds like multiple movements of the tongue.
No, it's one. Mukrtycha.
Mukrtycha.
Yeah. Don't even attempt to guess because you don't know what I'm doing. But it is, just take my word for that. This is one movement of the tongue.
Okay.
That's it.
Give an example, like how you would teach somebody to say something.
Give me the word.
You pick it.
No, I'm not. You give me the word because actually, you know what? It takes about 6 hours of my time to explain to each and every student. I mean, some people get it quicker, others slower. We all learn in a different pace. But it takes 6 hours to understand. It's called the speech matrix that I have in my book. We have to go through the whole speech matrix to explain to students. I can show it to the ones who can see me. So this is the speech matrix. All the ringtones, the basic ringtones are listed here. Once you have learned all the movements of the tongue, that's it. You can learn any word in any language.
And I know it takes time to learn that and ramp up to it working with you. I was just saying, let's pick a word and how you would approach that word.
Give me the word. I am asking.
Okay, here's the word. Here's the word. Hypothetical situation. I have to do a presentation and the word is normalization. Normalization.
Normalization. 7 movements. 7 movements of the tongue. Okay. And this is a perfect example where you see that if you divided the word by syllables, it's going to be totally different.
Yes. And that's what I'm doing in my head. I was doing a count. Normalization. I got 5.
This is totally wrong because unfortunately, people who stutter, and a lot of people, not people who stutter, it's a system of education that teaches this way, that we are supposed to speak by the way we are writing, but it's different. We can write and we need syllables to transfer the parts of the word if there is not enough room on the line at the end of the line. We break words by syllables and we can transfer the rest of the word to the second line, right? That's what we need syllables for. but our tongue doesn't care about the lines. Our tongue works by ringtones, movements of the tongue. No, rma, li, ze, I, sha, na. 7 movements of the tongue. This is the natural way our tongue, like a valve in our mouth, opens our instrument. It's very simple, but it takes time to understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is your life moving forward. So why wouldn't you invest the time to make sure you speak clearly, feel good about yourself, feel confident about yourself? Well, I was in Starbucks yesterday and I had like a frog in my throat as I was saying thank you to somebody. And it was almost embarrassing. Like, that's not me. You know, I like to think I speak fairly clearly. But I can imagine, like, if somebody is uncomfortable with the way they present themselves or speak, how it can really weigh on your self-confidence, right?
It's really hard. And I'm going to tell you, I just had a conversation with my next student from Australia. I just communicated with him yesterday. He is taking the class. And guess what? He learned about me, and I had a conversation with him a year and a half ago. I told him about my books, and he bought my books. And after reading both of my books, this one, the first one is Speech is a Skill, and the second one, Correcting Speech of People Who Stutter. After he has bought and read my books, he still came to me, but his speech was much better, because when he came to me, he couldn't say one word. He was like all blocked. And yesterday he was speaking pretty well. I mean, I heard a few mistakes, but his speech was pretty good. And I even asked him, why? You're speaking pretty good already. He told me, I want to make sure that I got all the information from the teacher.
Wow. You know, I'm just thinking now we're talking about dialects and accents. If somebody is from another country and wants to speak clear English, then you would be somebody that would reach out to.
Of course, I can do that as well. But once again, I can teach anyone who wants to improve their speaking mastery. It's about speech mastery. You want to be a master of your tongue movements. I even call tongue mastery. Okay, be my guest, because each and every language is a set of different words, different movements of the tongue. I mean, the movements are the same because the instrument is the same, but the sequence of movements is different from language to language.
We're going to go to a call, and it's from, I think we have Atlanta, Georgia on the phone. Hi, who's this?
Hi, my name is Jackson.
Jackson, you have a question for Anna?
Yeah, my question, Anna, my brother, he has a stuttering problem, but only when he seems to get agitated or angry. Is there something he can do to possibly, fix that a little bit?
Of course he can. You got to understand, your brother has the tongue, and he needs to learn how to move it in any situation, because whether we are angry or not, we must move our tongue in exactly the same way. And also, anger has a reason. Why is he angry? What is the reason that he makes mistakes in this situation but doesn't make mistakes in the other situation? We need to see he has some mental blocks. What his blocks are, we don't know. So only when I see your brother, when I communicate with him, I will know what his blocks are. Okay, and I will guide him how to remove each and every mental block in terms of speaking.
Yeah, it's almost psychological as well, isn't it, Anna?
Our program is how do you say it? Physiological and
psychological?
Psychophysical, forgot the word. See what happens?
But I've never heard that word. Psychophysical. Okay.
Psychophysical.
I learned a new word.
We address both parts of a human being: body, mind, and will, by the way, will. Because our will power is the source of power to do anything.
We are just about out of time. So I want to share with everybody, if they want to change their life, live stutter free, go to the website, livestutterfree.com. Free consultation, Anna?
Yeah. So when you go and register for watching the webinar, you can, after the webinar, schedule a free consultation with me over Zoom or whatever you want. You can directly communicate with me through the website. I mean, there are so many ways.
Sure.
And when we communicate, I can direct you to which course you need. What do you need to do to finally awaken from this nightmare called stuttering incurable sickness?
Oh, it can be cured. You can feel confident. Just a few hours working with Anna, livestutterfree.com. And I learned a new word today, psychophysical. Never even heard that word. I'm not kidding.
And also, I want to add that, of course, I recommend not a few hours, because a few hours is more theory than practice. I recommend the full 3-day course. When you do yourself practically, get rid of all the mental blocks, this I will help. But then I will give you information how are you actually supposed to move your tongue, and you got to build your tongue vocabulary. So you can express your anger, your excitement, your fear, anything by moving the tongue in exactly the same way.
And when I said a few hours, that was relative to your lifetime. So you have your whole life ahead of you. 3 days is a few hours in my mind when you think of it in that term. Anna, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephen, for having me.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.